What is going on, Notre Dame football fans? It is so good to be back on the Notre Dame Recruiting Update Show. I'm Mike Singer. With me is my partner in crime, Kyle Kelly. Can't speak today. Looking forward to talking about Notre Dame football recruiting. It is the time to really get back into the swing of things, Irish fans, when it comes to following Notre Dame recruiting, because it is about to get very hot for the Irish in the 27 class. Kyle, it's good to see you, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's been a while. You were on vacation. I was on vacation. I mean, neither of us were really on vacation. We just took some time off after that busy transfer portal window in January. Then we had our recruiting magazine in February. And I know that we spent a lot of time and energy on both those subjects. But boy, yeah, we needed to recharge because what Notre Dame has planned for us in March and
Yeah,
April, not more so us, but with the recruits, we cover it, and they're
yeah,
going to keep us extremely busy.
yeah. I got the picture of Joey O'Brien right here. I know Kyle. Kyle likes to think of himself as a photographer. I'm sure he's a little bit jealous that I got the cover shot, but it's a good
Absolutely,
picture.
and I am the furthest thing from a photographer.
I said you like to think you're a photographer. I just giving you a hard time, but no, I think the picture ended up. The magazine was great. Sly Fox, good to see you in the chat. All right, so yeah, like I said, tons of recruits to talk about. Kyle just had a 5-star scoop. I don't even think we're going to get to that in today's show. They find that at blueandgold.com. But we're going to start off the show by bringing in Alan Trieu, a national writer at Rivals, just joined from 24/7 Sports. And Kyle, I know you're excited about it. I'm super pumped to work with Alan as well. So let's go ahead and bring Alan in. Alan, how's it going, my new friend?
Good, guys. Already feels like, no pun intended, old hat after 5 days here, so it's good.
Just 5 days in. So yeah, you're based in the state of Michigan. You've covered the Midwest for as long as I've been in the business. I mean, you're probably 15, 20 years in, if not longer.
Yeah, 20.
20. So yeah, I think I'm at 13 next week. I've hit 13 years. So yeah, you've got your pulse down on top prospects in the Midwest, which of course has many Notre Dame targets. So I've got 5 guys to talk about with you, and Kyle, feel free to jump in at any point. But gotta start with the big one, Braden Parks from Chicago Brother Rice, 4-star prospect. I didn't even notice this. This rankings happened last week when I was on vacation. I didn't even know that Rivals gave him he was a 3-star, right, Kyle? So yeah, he got a bump from a 3-star by Rivals to number 185 overall player, number 20 defensive lineman. So and you see the industry ranking there, which equally weighs all 3 rankings. So I've got a prediction in for Notre Dame to land Parks for quite a while. Alan, it's my first time getting to talk to you about recruits, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to think. Where do you think this one is at? Like Notre Dame, like who would you even say is the biggest contender for the Irish right now? Is it Oregon, Illinois?
Yeah, I think it's Oregon right now. And I know you guys were at Irish Invasion last year. I was there too. And I think you could make the argument he was the most impressive prospect there. It was loaded, but I came away thinking like that might be the best player here. So the rankings bump, I think, long overdue, first of all. But even at that time and talking to him, talking to his dad, Notre Dame's been in that top mix for a long time. And they've been consistently recruiting him. There's obvious, when Notre Dame has their sights set on a Chicago Catholic League kid, more often than not, they're going to be a contender. And I think that's certainly the case here. He did go out. I think at the point at which he was at Irish Invasion, I think he had maybe just gotten back from Oregon or was just about to go and was really, really impressed with it. They've done a great job. They're formidable anytime they're in a recruitment. I think there's some other schools still involved there. Michigan's going to make a go at it. They've got some Brother Rice kids on their roster. Trey Pierce, another defensive lineman, his younger brother. Their new defensive line coach is Larry Black, who I know spent some time at Notre Dame. So they're trying. Illinois is trying. They do a good job with their in-state kids. Bama's trying. Georgia just came in. But right now, if I have to handicap it, I think it's Notre Dame and Oregon. And I think it's neck and neck. I don't have a prediction in as you do. But if I was you, the school I would be watching my back on that prediction is Oregon.
Do you just think he goes that far? I think he's a mama's boy from what I understand, and that's not a diss, by the way. Like I'm a mama's boy too. I didn't go far for college for that same reason. I don't know. Like, is he going to go to Oregon? I don't know.
So I'll say this: There are,
Okay.
I could go through the years, at least recently, since Dan Lanning has gotten there, of guys where I thought there's no way that kid goes that far away from home and his parents and his family and all that. And then that kid commits to Oregon. So he wouldn't be the first one that I thought wouldn't leave the region and go out there. I mean, for a long time, I wouldn't have thought they would have gotten Dante Moore the first time around. I know they had to swing
Sure.
twice on some of those. You know, he was extremely close to his parents. So that one comes to mind for me right away. Deer Hill, kid out of Illinois that I didn't think would go far away from home. They've done this before, which is why I say look out for Oregon, just because I never count them out.
Yeah. Yeah, the Oregon one with Dante Moore, I lost some sleep over that recruitment. Different story for a different day. Keshwan Telfair from the great Buckeye State. Of course, we're Cal's based. Number 16 corner, number 133 overall player. It's like Notre Dame offered, seemed to gain some traction. And then I felt like I was reading some articles. It was like, maybe Notre Dame slipping a little bit. Set some visits. Notre Dame wasn't included. Now he's coming in March. What's your pulse on this recruitment, Alan?
Yeah, the pulse seems to favor Penn State right now. I know Greg Smith put a prediction in for Penn State. I'm not quite there, but I have heard that Penn State's definitely a school to look out for. I think when you said Notre Dame seemed to lose some momentum, I think a few schools did, just because he didn't have a chance to get many places. So there wasn't like a dominant team in this recruitment. And I know when Notre Dame had first offered and he came up and visited, Mike Mickens was his point of contact. I think the good thing is that, with Aaron Henry coming in, he had already been recruiting Telfair previous, for a while, honestly. Okay. So I think that they haven't lost any traction there. So these spring visits are going to be important. I think he's only set one or no officials. I think he maybe has one to Penn State. But other than that, it's spring visits and then see from there. So Notre Dame, Penn State, those are the two, I think, regional schools that have the best shot right now. But I think a lot can shift after he gets to some of these schools. He just hasn't, since the season ended, wasn't able to get to some of those winter junior days.
All right, let's switch gears, talk about Quentin Burrell. I got to hop off for a second. Kyle, I'm going to let you take it from here, brother.
Yeah, Alan, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Happy to be on the same team. I think the last time I might have saw you in person was we were both at Chicago, Mount Carmel, to see Mount Carmel play Brother Rice. And do you remember the lighting at that stadium, by the way?
Yes, it wasn't my first time there. I remember a lot of things about that. I remember it being very crowded on the sidelines. The lighting's a little different. I also remember, was that the night that they shut off all the lights and they kind of had that pitch to, like, they had all the middle school kids that they kind of do like probably a recruiting day. Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is because, I mean, I always joke about the lighting at Mount Carmel because I think to be a prolific wide receiver at that school, you got to be a really, really good talent to catch the ball, especially with as dark as that field is. But what's your feeling here on Quentin Burrell? We've had Notre Dame pegged as one of the favorites going back to probably the spring or even the summer, but some of what I've heard is Arizona State has come on strong. Is that the sense you've gathered as well, or are there other schools that are also in the mix to be aware of?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm with you. And I just tried to go in and find a picture of Braden Parks this week that I took from that game. And it was so dark that I think all of my pictures didn't turn out. So yes, you're right about now that you reminded me. Yes. Burrell, I think, the buzz about Notre Dame is correct. Again, Chicago Catholic League kid. They've recruited him for a long time, was also at Irish Invasion. I think he fits what they do very well. I've comped him. He kind of reminds me of Mike Floyd, I think, at the same age, similar size and skill set. Arizona State's definitely made an impression. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, by the way, so Hines Ward is recruiting him and doing a good job. I also think Michigan is very much in the mix. His sister goes to school there. He spent a lot of time on their campus. He's got a lot of spring visits, but if I had to narrow it down to a couple schools that I think are really in it, Notre Dame, Michigan, Arizona State, probably the three that stand out most right now.
Another one here in Chicago who has really blown up recently, David Fuller-Runcho from Chicago St. Patrick. Alan, I got to ask you, I mean, when's the first time you had heard, or when did he first get on your radar? Because seems to me like in January he started to become a national name, but I was almost a little curious when you started to learn about him.
Yeah, it was late in the fall that his name first started to pop up. I think he had started to pick up a couple of Power 4 offers, but not quite to the Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Miami level that's happened recently. But knew he was good. There's a really good group of defensive tackles in Chicago this cycle, Braden being one of them. But he wasn't one that was on the radar until very late in the fall. People started to find out about him. So and then he's just caught fire here in the last few weeks to a month.
Yeah, a lot of people have pointed him to Notre Dame. I know Mike has a prediction in. I think the couple other analysts have predicted him to Notre Dame as well. I guess I'll just touch on some of his ties real quick to the program, that with Tommy Zbikowski, former Notre Dame All-American safety, being his head coach. The school's president also went to Notre Dame. I know Fuller trains with the Notre Dame guys. So there's a lot of connections working in Notre Dame's favor, but we've seen before that, like, sometimes when you think Notre Dame's going to get a recruit from Chicago, the tide will start to turn, whether that was Talon Taylor going to Georgia or Justin Scott was the really big one, who committed, I think it was, where did he committed? Ohio State's where he committed initially, flipped to Miami. What do you think? How do you think this recruitment's going to shake out? I know it's really early because a lot of the interest has come in January, but do you think Notre Dame can get this one done, or are they going to be in another one of those type Chicago recruitments that we've seen in the past where maybe it isn't so easy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have the inside track, and I think that's why all the predictions are there. I have a prediction in as well, and it's not just because of the connections; those help, as you mentioned. With Zbikowski being his head coach, training with Kerry Neal and being another Chicago Catholic League kid. But he speaks extremely highly of Notre Dame. Has said, that's a school he wanted an offer from for a long time. So it's not just the ties; it's that he has some good relationships there, and it's a school he's had targeted as like, this is the school I want an offer from for a while. I would watch. I know he just narrowed this thing down. I would watch Miami of those schools. They've been coming up into the Midwest and having some real success. I think it started with Justin Scott, also Marquise Lightfoot, another Chicago-based defensive lineman. They've done a good job up here. They're going to do a good job with him. And so even though I think everybody knows, I think even those schools to an extent have an idea that Notre Dame's the team they need to beat. It's not a layup. And so I think all of those schools are going to get an official from him in his top 5. But the one that I would have the most concern about if I was Notre Dame is Miami, just because they're going to get him down there. They're going to do a good job on the visit. NIL is definitely going to be a factor. They can play that game, and they've had success in Chicago recently. And so I have no doubt when he goes down there, Justin and Marquise are going to have a big part of hosting him.
Yeah, Kerry Neal is this trainer, played at Notre Dame. And then the president, like you mentioned, Kyle went to Notre Dame. He actually played football at Notre Dame. His name,
he's offensive tackle. I can't remember his name either, and it's bothering me. But he went to the NFL. He obviously was a really good player. So
I have a hard time seeing David not ending up at Notre Dame.
I'm with Alan. I know there's been some communication about Penn State as one of those schools to watch. Mm-hmm. I know Ohio State just offered, but you really can't sleep on Miami because they've shown they've proved they can go up there and get it done. So yeah, Alan, you put it perfectly, because in terms of saying it's not a layup, because that's kind of how I view it. I feel like maybe initially it was like, it kind of felt like a layup, but the more you start to learn about this recruitment and talk to people, it sounds like that, the Hurricanes are going to be a big contender.
Mm. All right, let's stick in Chicago, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm glad you left this one to me, because I have his pronunciation somewhere in my audio recording. But this is Chicago linebacker Roman Igweke. Did I do that right, Alan?
I've been saying Igwebuike, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, he told me it at one time, but I know it's a tough recruitment to follow. Brought a little bit more clarity to it last week by announcing his top 12 schools. Do you have much of a pulse here on where Roman might be looking. There are 12 schools involved, as I mentioned, but are there a couple of just like a handful of schools that you're watching most closely in this recruitment?
You know what? I think that there's good reason for. I don't know that anybody has a great pulse on this one. And when I've tried to talk to sources at schools and things like that, everybody seems to feel like this one's pretty wide open. And I think that's because sometimes a kid just does a great job of keeping things close to the vest. Sometimes a kid is truly that open. I think in this case, Roman really is that open. And so I think, I think this one can go a lot of directions. And I think of the Chicago kids that we just talked about. I know we talked about like Miami for Fuller Run Show and Oregon for Braden Parks. I think Roman truly has the most open mind as far as like he'll go anywhere in the country, and that's why he's taking all of these visits. So I think certainly closer to home, Notre Dame is going to be a huge factor in this one. I think that's pretty easy to see, but I know that Miami's going to be a factor here in this one also. He's going to go visit down there. And I really think this one's very, very wide open.
I think that's like music to the ears of the Notre Dame staff and fans, and like because Notre Dame offered in the fall, but like we hadn't really gotten much of a sense that like he was like, oh yeah, like this is the guy. Like Caden Henderson, from Tampa Jesuits, like, all right, this is the one that Notre Dame's really gonna be after, and pair him with Amari Irvin and all those things. Like Roman was like, we don't really know. So if it's wide open, I think that's great because Notre Dame seems that they haven't been a lead school, but just listen to you talk there, Alan. It doesn't seem like anyone really has felt like that. So maybe Notre Dame is much more in the mix than I thought.
I don't think that there is one like big, school that I would say is a school that he kind of likes is Indiana. They haven't come up much in this conversation, and they're going to be involved more and more for obvious reasons. And I think he's got a visit set coming up in a couple of weeks. I think Indiana is going to be a factor in this one more so than any of the other kids we just talked about.
I want to ask you about them. This is just me asking as a college football fan, like what you make of Indiana as a high school recruiting force, because like you look at what they've done, it's a lot in the portal, and you look at just their haul in January was so much in the portal. How are they viewed with high school recruits? Because it does seem like they're in on a lot more top talents and the high school ranks than they were before, which makes sense. They just won a national championship. But like, do you think they have staying power in recruiting, and how big of a threat do you think they will be to schools like Notre Dame and Ohio State and Michigan that have done so well in the Midwest, obviously?
Yeah, so I think this is the prove it cycle as far as their staying power in recruiting and on the field, right? You're turning over a good amount of the roster that helped you get there. You're replacing your quarterback and all of those things. But if things turn out for them this year, because I already thought 2 years ago when they had that success, it's like, wow, is that a 1 year flash in the pan? And then they come back and they're better the following year. Recruits love them. And the quality of recruit that they're getting to just get to campus in Bloomington is much higher. Now, there's a little bit of a barrier between just getting those kids to visit because you're the national champion and they're intrigued and they want to come see the campus, and actually getting those guys to join the class. So I think in the next few weeks and months in the spring, they're going to try to close down some of those guys. And if they have some success, which I think they will, there's a couple of 4-star kind of guys that I think they could land, then if the big one is like if they get like a Manchin Sales in the class, that's a huge signal to everybody that these guys aren't going away.
Yeah. Again, this is me talking as a fan and someone who's just getting to know you, Alan, and I really appreciate your time. I don't really know like you kind of take this wherever, but just covering Notre Dame, how does Notre Dame differ from other schools? That again, you national guy based in the Midwest, you write a lot of Midwest recruits. So you have an understanding of a lot of these schools and how they recruit. What sets Notre Dame apart? What makes them different than other schools in your region? Yeah,
I think first of all, like the location in South Bend, it's like in the state of Indiana, but they're kind of like they're kind of Chicago's team, or like, you know, we mentioned the ties with the Chicago Catholic League, but they can come up into Michigan. They're not as regionally tied as where, you know, I think also they lack the pressure. Like I see it with like Michigan and Michigan State. If they don't recruit a certain number of in-state kids, the people get really upset up here, or like Illinois is forced in some ways to do it. Iowa, those schools, Wisconsin, they got to take care of their home base. Obviously, Notre Dame recruits in Indiana, but I don't think they have as much of that expectation on their shoulders as some of those, because they've recruited nationally for so long. And then I just think the feel of the campus, the feel of the place, and the tradition, it's very different than when you go to some of these other universities. And so it's extremely unique to where it's at. And then obviously like not being tied in to the Big Ten directly. It's just Notre Dame is such a different feel than, you know, I think the teams that they recruit against in the region, which would be like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, schools like that, very, very different feel and culture, and the whole like deal at Notre Dame is just very different from the schools that they compete against in recruiting.
Kyle, do you have anything else for Alan?
Just kind of generally with your new role, Alan. I know you've done this for a while, but what can Notre Dame, if fans kind of expect out of you from your coverage? You know, obviously cover the Midwest and all the recruits in the area, but I know you do a lot of team specific coverage as well. So what are you looking forward to contributing, and what can we expect to see from you over at Blue and Gold?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be down there as much as I can. Like, I'll plan to go to Irish Invasion, and I always feel like I can give a more national. There's so many prospects down there to be able to help you guys out with keeping an eye on everybody. And there's so many different kids at those camps that don't end up at Notre Dame. So I can bring that other places when those kids maybe go other places. And the same with going to camps at Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State. If some of those kids end up signing with Notre Dame, I'd like to think I'll be able to pop on and give some context. I think you guys do a great job of canvassing the region yourselves. I run into you everywhere, Kyle. So I know you're looking at a lot of the same things as me, but where I'm really excited to join up is being able to do the scouting piece, and being able to come on and say, you know, when Notre Dame signs somebody, when you sign Sullivan Garvin out of Allegan, Michigan, you know, 50 minutes south of me, and I've seen him 10 times, I'd like to be able to come on and give my take on that. So I think you can expect the reporting aspect, which I think you guys and Steve Wiltfong and Greg Smith and all those guys do a great job of. But I think where I can add some things is maybe in that evaluation part and giving some context to what to expect out of these kids.
That is good to know, because I will certainly use you on this YouTube channel, Alan. So it's going to be great.
Yeah,
please do.
Have you gotten a look at the quarterback from Arlington Heights yet, Jake Nallrot? Notre Dame's not targeting him yet. It's my understanding that there's some communication there. They're getting to know him, but I know he's a fast riser, rivals as number 2 quarterback. Maybe a name for Notre Dame to know down the road.
Yeah, seen him in 7-on-7, and then he had a huge year following that. And then I missed the recent Indianapolis Elite 11 regional because I was.
You left it all up to Wiltfong, man. The poor guy was scrambling down there because of you.
I told him that'll be the last time. It just happened to be the day I was moving over, so I wasn't able to go. But yeah, he's interesting for me because his dad, he's an Iowa legacy, and there's Iowa predictions in. I didn't join in with an Iowa prediction, and the reason that I didn't is because I can see, especially the couple schools still needing quarterbacks, Notre Dame and Michigan. If I know they're both recruiting, like Camden Lapati and some of those guys. If obviously they can't both sign them, and if those schools don't get some of the quarterbacks that are on their board, I have to think Jake's next up for a lot of those schools. And so that's why I hesitated to put in an Iowa prediction, because I do think they probably lead at the moment, but I don't think that kid's done getting offers.
Yeah,
I agree. I'll just add one more thing like that. I did talk to him and got to know his dad a little bit at the opening down in Indianapolis. That recruitment is pretty wide open. So yeah, I think a long way to go there. And I'm curious to see if Notre Dame gets involved, because he can throw it with the best of them. And that's why I was curious if you had been able to see him, and sounds like you have. So one to watch for sure.
Yeah, I also, by the way, I want to go back. I said Sullivan Garvin, but I don't want to leave out Ben Nichols and Greg Patrick. I've known those guys very well. So it's cool. Notre Dame's coming up this way a little bit more. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to being able to add that context.
Yeah, I remember you tweeting some videos at one of their private workouts or something. I thought that was pretty cool. It's like, damn it, Kyle, why aren't you there? That was good though. That was good.
Hopefully I can save you some miles, Kyle, or we'll be able to split up and go in different directions.
Yeah.
Unless you just really like the Kalamazoo area or Allegan, then you can join me up here.
No, I always make it work, like especially during the season, because I'm at Notre Dame game days, so that's when I'll try to get to Chicago the night before, or Kalamazoo or something like that, just because it's pretty easy for me to make that turnaround. But yeah, I will let you handle St. Louis. You can make that trip from Grand Rapids. Hopefully, you at least get to fly down there. But that's where I'm looking forward to kind of getting some of your insight here coming up.
Yeah,
good deal.
It's going to be great. And there's another Patrick brother coming up, by the way. So we'll have to tag team that one, but he's going to be pretty good, I think.
Good deal. I do feel like I remember Dad texting me about that, so that'll be good. Well, Alan, thank you for spending 25 minutes with us, brother. This was awesome.
Yeah, certainly won't be the last time, but happy to be on board. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Alan. That's Alan Trieu. Give him a follow on Twitter. Yeah, it's good stuff, Mr. Kelly. So if you're just joining us, rewind, watch from the beginning, get some insight on some Notre Dame 2027 targets. Folks, this show is brought to you by Rowback. So change the game with Rowback, a proud partner of Blue and Gold. Coincidentally, I'm wearing Rowback right now. I didn't even do that on purpose. And this is the Notre Dame Stadium polo. It looks like it is currently not in stock, but this Notre Dame Golden Clover polo I haven't seen this yet. This has caught my attention. I have this one. I was wearing this for my show on this darker one on my show on Wednesday with Eric Hansen, but this white one is clean. I might need to get this my next Rowback purchase. So make sure you guys change the game with Rowback and use promo code BlueGold20. That'll get you 20% off your first purchase at Rowback. BlueGold20. I get asked this all the time on Twitter and a message board. Mike, what's that promo code for Rowback? It's not that difficult. It's BlueGold20. There it is, right on the screen. Take a screenshot right now. BlueGold20 gets you 20% off your first order with Rowback. All right, Kyle. I hope you got your rest in, and I hope I got my rest in, because it really is a hectic time coming up. Like the past 6 weeks or so have just been here's who's visiting. This guy's visiting. This guy just scheduled a visit. Here's a summer official visit. And now we're going to get into here's how these visits went, and here's who Notre Dame's trending for, and all those kind of things. I am looking forward to it. And there's guys that Notre Dame's trending for ahead of these visits, and I think one of them is Abraham Sesay from Downingtown East in the state of Pennsylvania, number 58 overall prospect, number 8 edge in America. Mark with glasses says, "What's the promo code?" Mark. Shut your mouth. By the way, I thought this was funny. Ghost of Indy says, Irish Invasion, never heard of it. Sounds fun. It is a top prospect camp that Notre Dame has the early June of every year, at least since I've been covering Notre Dame. I think it's been going on for at least a decade. So that is that, Ghost of Indy. But yeah, Abraham Sesay, he's you just reported he's got an official visit scheduled. He's visiting for the Blue Gold game. Steve Wolfong predicted him to Notre Dame last week. When I got back from vacation, made some calls to some sources, and I followed suit, logged a prediction to him to end up picking the Irish. I did this pick on Wednesday. So, Notre Dame, obviously, we believe was leading. Penn State's is very much in the mix, but he visited Ohio State last fall. He visited Duke in January. But yeah, I think that this one's Notre Dame. I think kind of everything about him, Kyle, is wired for Notre Dame. And following the visits, he got his offer from the Irish last fall, set up a visit to visit in November. That went great. Visiting for the spring game. visiting again in June for an official. I think that this one ends up Irish. And man, if they're able to get Sesay on top of like landing Rodney Dunham and Ebenezer Uwatade last year, like Notre Dame D-line recruiting is just on the upward trajectory.
Yeah, you mentioned Uwatade. I think that Sesay looks a lot like him when you talk about the physical profile. Both, lengthy guys. Sesay being 6'4.5", 225 pounds. That's what Uwatade probably was about this time last year.
So we're this time right now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Uwatade, he really does kind of look like a receiver almost, and I think Sesay has a little bit more muscle on him, but yeah, he is a raw prospect, but a very talented one. And a couple weeks ago, I did a story on Blue and Gold about 3 recruits I was just weighing predictions on, thinking about predicting them, and Sesay is one of them, just because of the momentum Notre Dame has been able to generate over the last couple weeks, specifically dating back to when they visited him in January. Nick Sebastian, Notre Dame's assistant D-line coach, made the trip with new D-line coach Charlie Partridge. That really helped get Notre Dame up to speed after losing Al Washington, who served as Sesay's primary recruiter. Then Marcus Freeman made a separate trip to his high school and spent some time around him. And I think ever since that trip is when the wind started to kind of change direction more in Notre Dame's favor. I think coming out of his first visit back in November that Notre Dame was a school to like, but I think over the past couple of weeks, it's really started to pick up for the Irish. And like you mentioned, I did do a report on Sesay last night, and I know you also wrote about him, I think, on Wednesday.
I can't remember anything at this point, man.
The days are running together, but
well, yeah, I would have wrote about him when I predicted him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But interestingly enough, no visit for him scheduled to Penn State. And the Nittany Lions were kind of regarded as the top contender in his recruitment alongside Notre Dame. So that's something I'm monitoring. I'm not there yet on a prediction just because I want to see how the spring shakes out, because he's going to be visiting South Carolina, Miami, Florida State. I think those are all first-time visits. I just want to see if the pulse changes a little bit at all. I still think Notre Dame leads going into things, but that's what I'm just waiting on. Yeah, as you kind of know, I'm a little bit more patient on some of my predictions than you. But yeah, if I had to make one today, I would say Notre Dame.
Yeah. Think about the predictions. It's like I tried to be a little bit between like just predicting someone like, all right, this school leads. I'm going to put in a prediction. That's a little bold for me. And then, like I want to see how the spring unfolds. Like, no, I gotta make the call. I'm kind of in between because you don't want to be too late.
I mean, I'm that way with Fuller Run Show too, and this goes back to our conversation we had with Alan. I'm just keeping an eye with Miami there, and I know he has the ties to Notre Dame, and he told me before Notre Dame even offered that was the one he coveted, but I'm watching the Hurricanes. I mean, his recruitment is continually evolving. I mean, every day it seems like a new team gets in the mix. So that's why for some of these guys, I just want to, let the dust settle a little bit more.
Yeah. I kind of liken this conversation we're having right now to like rank, like the recruiting rankings. Like college coaches have to make a call on if we're going to recruit someone when they're like a freshman or high school. Like a freshman or sophomore in high school, right? Like, I mean, in some case, obviously like juniors, but yeah, you have to make those calls early, right? And then you don't know like if they progress or regress as a senior, right? Whereas like recruiting rankings websites get to make the call after like their final ranking on someone after all-star games, right? Like Rivals just finished their rankings couple weeks ago, and like Notre Dame already had their early enrollees there for like a month or whatever, right? So it's like, do you make the call early or do you get to make the call late? For us, you can kind of do these things different ways, but I like to make them on the earlier end.
I will say, just like the recruiting rankings, is you don't want to have to switch it, so to speak. So that's what I try to avoid.
Yeah, I don't
you know,
know.
like that's the reason, we talked about this before. While Charles Power, who spearheads the rivals rankings, is so patient with awarding 5 stars to guys,
Yeah.
is because he doesn't want to strip a star from someone. But the thing is with these recruitments, it can change so fast and on a dime.
So I
And like,
you gotta like take these things into account. I
yeah.
am, man. I'm taking these
So
things into
that's why we have a good balance. That's why I let you do that, and I kind of come in.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I'm not. I don't
we
know if that
work
was a
together.
great example that I gave, by the way, but that's what came to my mind. So Sly Fox said, Singer, what's your prediction? 80, is it around 85% or better? What would you say what would you guess my all-time percentage is since I joined on 3?
Because you are pretty bold with some predictions, and you don't have a problem with eating them, meaning that if you
I
know a
don't
kid's
change
going
them.
elsewhere, you won't change it. I'll say right around 70.
I am at 70.8.
All right.
But here's the key thing to know here. So I'm 80 of 113. This is the big number. The average days correct at 62. So on average, I make my picks 2 months before the guys commit. There are others that are more like a week or 2 week, like, which is fine. I'm not saying that's like a wrong way to do it, but I think 70% predicting 2 months out is like kind of crazy. I think that's a really I'm really proud of
Well,
this.
let
Let's
me
see
to
Kyle's.
yeah, let me to my horn a little bit, because I think I'm at like 95%. About 30 days out, and the one prediction I missed was Ivan Taylor, which that was. Oh, I am 95%. How many
At
days?
20 predictions, Kyle.
Yeah, I
You-
am so what's the name for it? Careful, I guess, about predict. Also because one of the
Oh,
things.
Ivan doesn't. This doesn't even count.
Yeah, so I mean, I will be upfront with a lot of the kids as well, and ask them if it's okay to predict them, and just also to get their thoughts on it, just to see if this is accurate. You're looking at Mark Zachary. I did that with him, for example, before I predicted him. But yeah, I am kind of careful, a little more. I probably should predict more kids, basically, is what I'm saying.
Well, it looks like a
But
couple of these you flipped. Amir, you had to Notre Dame. Devin Robertson, you had to Notre Dame. You ended up flipping these later.
I can't wait for the after the recruiting cycle stories we get to do on some of these kids, like you just did in the 26 class. I'll definitely have to have one from the 2027 cycle, because
Yeah,
there's a
95
lot
is
of.
insane, but he's predicted 20 in 3 years.
That's crazy, actually. To be honest, the reason I don't do more is because you do so many.
I do.
So it's like,
Yeah.
what's the point of like kind of copying you on some of these? It's like I look at more as.
But if you have something new to share or something, like, I
That's the
think it's
thing.
fine.
That's typically when I'll put a prediction in.
Yeah, if you got
if
something
I hear
new, or
something
dude,
new,
if you
but
have like 5, like do 5 of them in a batch, and like I think it's fine, man. Like put
I just
yourself
don't like
out
to
there.
change them. That's the thing.
I don't. Well, then just eat it and be wrong. I'm okay with it.
But the whole point of being a reporter is, at least a good one, is wanting to be right. So
I think. Well, I will handle it like for your Amir Brown prediction, right? Like, well, actually, just let me pull up. Let me go through mine again. Let's see if I have any where I flipped them. It's just a lot of Notre Dame. See, Mikkel Blade, I predicted Notre Dame early, but then, it was like, all right, this is trending away. And then I flipped it to Michigan, or Tank King, I predicted to Notre Dame early and then later flipped it to Texas A&M. But I don't do it. If I know the kid is like, he's going here, then I don't do it. I think Blade, I did flip it to Michigan the day he committed to Michigan, but I didn't know he was committing to Michigan that day. And Tank King, I did the month before he ended up committing to A&M. So that's kind of how I do it. So yeah, I don't prefer to be wrong, but it is what it is. Like I'll eat it if it's like that day. Or I'm sorry, someone's texting me. I gotta take my watch off. Phone's blowing up. My watch is just buzzing. But anyways, yeah, if the kid's going there, you just eat it. But anyways, flip. All right, I'm gonna stop rambling. All right, Kyle, Notre Dame's been sending out some new offers in the 2027 class. I think all 5 of these, most of these guys are in like the past week or so. Brennan Lacey was just last night. Kyle, I made his profile.
Did you really? Wow.
Last night. I mean, it's not often that a high school junior gets an offer from Notre Dame and we need to make him a Rivals profile. And he just got an offer from Ohio State this morning. 6'1", 187 pounds. I was told that Notre Dame watched him and liked him so much that they were like, we just need to offer this kid. Like, even though he's, pretty early on in his recruitment, I don't know how he plays for Frisco, Texas high school and kind of just flown under the radar so much. But his Ohio State offer's not on his page yet. Shame, Mick Walker. But yeah, TCU, Oklahoma State, Western Kentucky, Oregon State, North Texas. So for those, I feel like it's like, oh man, Notre Dame's offering guys too late. I've seen that over the years, and it's like, all right, well, we're gonna complain when it's then it's also like, oh, why is Notre Dame offering a 0-star and we're just making him a Rivals profile? It's like, all right, people, which one do you want? But yeah, Brennan Lacey, Notre Dame offered him. So there's another new name to know for the 27 running back board. Joachim Gouda, Notre Dame offered in February. I think this was on my vacation, and he named a top 5 schools list in mid-February. Notre Dame offers like 10 days later, and Notre Dame has them scheduled for Junior Day and a couple weekends. Kyle, I think our show next week, I'm sure we're going to be talking about a lot more visits scheduled, and then our show on the 20th will be a major one, previewing a massive recruiting weekend for the Irish. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I'm going to be unavailable. That's my bachelor party weekend.
Oh, yeah. And spring ball starts on the 20th, I think. So I'll probably do the show on the Thursday. When do you leave on Friday?
Leaving on Wednesday, I think.
Tisk, Kyle. But yeah, we'll do like a video or something on the Monday, and I'll do a show with maybe like Will Fong or somebody on Thursday to kind of preview that weekend. But Gouda will be there. Kyle, like this recruiting weekend on the 21st is shaping up to be one of the biggest we've seen. I hate saying that. I feel like we say this all the time. Oh, it's the biggest.
But no,
it
is. I said the same thing on the board the other day. Is that I hate kind of reinforcing that like milestone as well, or superlative, whatever you want to call it, but it is with the amount of guys that are coming in.
Yeah, folks, if you're not done so yet, please hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to the channel for more content. So yeah, Gouda is one to watch. I mean, he's got a top 5 of all SEC schools, but Brian Jean-Marie comes in, offers them, and I don't even think Jean-Marie was recruiting them when he was at Michigan, but I mean, he's quickly made a strong impression. I tweeted more about that. You can find that on my page. And then Monsana Torbert from Cincinnati, Princeton, and Indiana commit. Kyle, tell us about him.
Yeah, was one of the top performers at the opening in Indianapolis on Sunday. Ran I think it was around in the high 4.3s, 4.38 maybe in the 40-yard dash. Committed to Indiana in January. Still working on some of the reporting on this recruitment, but my understanding is I think Notre Dame's going to be a factor. Sources in South Bend have also kind of indicated they expect to have some sort of presence in this recruitment. So it's still pretty fluid right now. I don't think he has any visits set, at least to my knowledge, besides an Indiana official visit. So maybe by this time next week, there's a little more clarity on where this one's heading, because his recruitment is really kind of started to evolve and shake up, because he was an early Indiana commit, and Auburn recently offered, Michigan recently offered, and those schools, along with Notre Dame, aren't going to be the last to try to make him change his decision.
Kyle, hire Magic Mike to your party. What a great movie. And then a new offer in Fort Wayne, Kyle. I think this is going to be a big one to watch for the Irish.
Yeah, Ifeani Emedobi.
I like how I just set that up so I didn't have to try the name.
Yeah, I got the pronunciation from him and his father after I saw them on the way back from Indianapolis on
Kyle
Sunday.
Kelly, our pronunciation guru. Quick note, by the way, Kyle, folks, and I want to urge folks to hit the thumbs up on this video. Just this afternoon, we've had 2 scoops on 5-star setting Notre Dame official visit, or no, just visits in general. One's an official, one's a spring official, unofficial. It's a busy time at blueandgold.com.
Did you just report something I'm not aware of?
No, Hayes Fawcett did on our message
Oh
board.
boy.
Oh,
because Hayes was going to have a 5-star announcement. Is that already dropped? Okay. All right. Now I'm intrigued to go on the loose emoji board. So
it is fun, dude. Like I think Kyle and I just put it plainly, right? We're all friends here. I think Kyle and I dominate the Notre Dame recruiting market. You know, I think we do. But you add in Alan Trieu, who we had on earlier. You add in we have, you know, Greg Biggins and Brandon Huffman on the West Coast that, you know, Blue and Gold, or excuse me, Rivals has hired in recent months. Steve Wilfong, Chad Simmons, Hayes freaking Fawcett dropping scoop. Like, dude, it is absurd. If me and Kyle weren't even around, you guys, I think, would have terrific Notre Dame recruiting coverage just from the national guys. Then you have me and Kyle who write, you know, absurd amount of articles every day. Like, the amount of, like, you guys are spoiled. I think the Notre Dame beat in general is pretty good, but like, you guys are spoiled. If you subscribe to Blue and Gold, you're not charged enough. Good thing I'm not in charge of what you pay, because you are getting incredible value, especially if you sign up on some really good deal, like $60 for the year, or, you know, $1 for your first couple months, or, you know, whatever they're doing now. Like, you're getting a tremendous value, because I think our staff at Blue and Gold, and that's not even to mention like Horka and Sowell and Tyler James and Eric Hansen, one of the most legendary figures on the Notre Dame beat. It's tremendous. I mean, Blue and Gold, I'm bragging, but I don't think I'm even like being too biased here. Like, I think these are just the facts.
Power of the network, man. I'm glad you brought up On3 and Rivals, because we're building some pretty strong. I'm very happy about it, and especially what we've done at Blue and Gold. So
yeah. All right, I'll give you the floor back on Iffy.
Yeah, no secret here since I posted on social media, but had the scoop last night. 2 Notre Dame visits set for Emedobi, who picked up his offer a week ago. Notre Dame's a team to beat. It's pretty early here, though. Long way to go. Like, because this is his first year playing football. Schools are just now getting in the mix, and there's a long way to go here. But I think the Irish are setting the pace. So would not surprise me if he ended up in the class. Really, really unbelievable, incredible story. I'm looking forward to writing. I think I'll try to squeeze it in next week. I talked to him, talked to his trainer. I spent a lot of time with his dad all on Sunday, and really looking forward to telling his story. He's a really unique and special kid, and he's a Notre Dame kid as well. And that combined with his early affinity for the university is why I think the Irish are going to be tough to beat.
We're friends here, guys, right? Do we like this graphic template? Kyle, I'm still on the fence, because sometimes graphics like this, they look professional, and other times they look like an amateur graphic. And I feel like this looks clean, but I can't determine if I think it looks amateur or not. I haven't decided.
Ask the graphics department at On3. They get paid to do it, like not to make one for us, but like I did that before with my Echoes and Insights. I was like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it looks good.
Well, I made a different one. It's funny, if I don't even know if I still have it around, but yeah, I sent it to him. I was like, hey, like, is this okay? And they're like, yeah, but here, I'll do you one better. So
maybe. So they did make it for you?
Yeah.
Dude, I was gonna say that shit looks sharp. I was like, did AI do this for you, Kyle? There's no way. But yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, because it does look good. All right. That is actually, Kyle, I'm gonna give you like a minute, because I gotta run. My wife's blowing up my phone.
No, you're good.
You did a really good story on Lou Holtz. You interviewed his Notre Dame commit James Halter's dad, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you talked to Tom Lemming. Do you just kind of want to talk about this this story you did? I know you're proud of it.
Yeah, no, this is a story I've been working on, or I've had in the back of my mind for a couple months since getting to know James Halter's family. His father played at Notre Dame from 1989 to 93. So he was there under one of the most successful stretches, not only in Notre Dame history, but in the or the way to say that is not only in the Lou Holtz era, but in Notre Dame history. Um, they didn't win the national championship that during that 5-year span. They won it the year prior. They should have won it in 1993.
Yeah.
But I finally got around to interviewing Jordan last week, James's father. Jordan, again, playing for Holtz in the early 90s, and I saved it to write this week. And after Lou passed, we were all talking amongst ourselves like how we wanted to contribute with our coverage. And by the way, I think the way we covered his passing is obviously so unfortunate, but I'm just really proud of what we were able to put out there for Notre Dame fans. I thought it was really strong, and that was my way of doing a little bit of a reflection and reporting on his time at Holtz's time at Notre Dame myself. And I called Tom Lemming up for some historical Notre Dame recruiting data, and Tom insisted that I should incorporate his perspective into the story. And Tom made the story, to be honest. I mean, Jordan gave me a lot of strong insight, but Tom really complimented it well. And Jordan even told me the same thing about Tom. So, please give the story a read if you haven't already, but also all our other content on Lou Holtz and everything else we have cooking up on Blue and Gold.
Yeah. Folks, please do hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. If you're just tuning in, rewind, watch from the beginning. A lot of good stuff. We interviewed Alan Trieu, new hire at Rivals, a national analyst based in the Midwest. So we talked about some of the top Chicago targets for the Irish in the 27 cycle. Got his perspective about Indiana and Notre Dame. Like I thought that was a really neat little chat with him. So that is going to do it for this show. From Caleb, K-Mac, Sly, who else we got? Mark, Bo, like K-Mac, Ghost of ND. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live with us. If you're watching back, thank you very much. Hit the thumbs up on the video. If you're listening to this as a podcast, thank you as well. Please leave us a 5-star review and fill out why you are doing so wherever you listen to your podcast. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we'll catch you next time.